welcome to episode 1 of Shadow Talk, a brand new podcast from the Shadow Conspiracy. We're a competitive Battlefield clan founded in 2010 on PlayStation. We're here to discuss Battlefield, our clan, and everything in between. Let's kick it off with a discussion about Battlefield 2042. So, I assume you guys have all seen the trailers so far.
Yes.
You know, we've got helicopters again, we've got jets again, explosions, skyscrapers, all of the wonderful things that we've been missing since Battlefield 4. And what do you guys think so far?
I mean, it looks like Battlefield 4 just cleaned up a bit, modernized, bigger maps. It seems like they know finally what made a Battlefield game good previously, and they were like, you know what, let's just do more of that.
That's exactly what I want, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, Battlefield 4 was a fantastic game, but when you go back to play it now, it shows its age. And if they're taking that formula and spicing it up, it's quite a good formula to start with. There's not a lot to go wrong.
They just stayed away from the formula that worked for one game cycle too many. They should have alternated with World War II, World War One, with modern every second one. You can imagine, like, when you're playing two games like Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, for those that really enjoy, for example, helicopters. It's a long time since we've had them then from Battlefield 4.
For sure, yeah.
The problem I had with Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 was they just weren't interesting games.
Nah.
There was just too much missing that we'd come to expect from a Battlefield game that just didn't make it enjoyable to play.
Less content and less gadgets changes gameplay. Basically, you've a lot less variety to mix and match. It's a sandbox game in a sense. So basically, you have less replayability. You've less things to play with as a team, as a squad. Battlefield 4, you've so many ways in playing different maps with different tactics. But when it comes down to Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 especially as well, a certain meta where if you don't pick those, you're going to be at a disadvantage. Whereas Battlefield 4 wasn't plagued by that as much.
Yeah, for sure. When it comes to any of the games, most shooters nowadays, you notice that, you know what, a single YouTuber might mention this is really good, or pro players are only using this, and a lot of games start forming just around those opinions or those things people notice. And that's the one big thing Battlefield's usually had a good thing of not being is everyone using the same thing. Like, you look at Call of Duty runs in that issue all the time of where it's like one or two guns everyone's running around with, and it just becomes kind of repetitive to a point where it's actually not fun. And I notice that with Battlefield, especially in the modern ones, they had a lot more openness to it with that kind of stuff. And the one thing I hope is that they continue with that.
I think being the fact that it's set in the future also unlocks quite a lot of potential, because it's not set too far in the future, so it's not going to be ridiculous, but it paves the way for new gadgets, weapons, and vehicles, things that aren't quite there in the real world, but could be there. And actually, they can tweak the gameplay with these made-up elements that aren't going to sit too far outside of what we're going to enjoy, but sit right in that sweet spot of it's realistic enough to go into a war game, but it's outlandish enough to have a lot of fun with.
I can't wait to get just absolutely clapped by some kid at the back of the map with his little robot dog that I haven't seen coming, and then next thing I know, I'm just on the floor.
That's similar to Battlefield 4. We had that robot vehicle that you could drive around on the DLC maps.
The RAR, I was just about to mention it. I hope it's as good as the RAR was. That thing was fun.
It's actually no different. It's the same formula, just a different skin. People are complaining, but it's like it's just creative freedom of the times. Like, it's 2042. It's not 2013.
Now, in the trailers, we've also, they've announced Breakthrough and Conquest and all these things that we're used to, but they've also announced 2 game modes that they haven't really explained much about. So we've got Hazard Zone, which is, and I quote, a tense experience that combines edge-of-your-seat gameplay with the best of the Battlefield sandbox. What on earth do you think that means?
It literally mean anything.
What are the chances it's going to be geared for maybe an esports scene finally properly ran that they wanted? They've wanted it since Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, and they've never ran it right.
Yeah.
This could be it.
Yeah, because they had that weird incursions mode, didn't they? A separate game that you had to download for no reason.
like if you think about it, they've cherry picked some things like Rainbow Six Siege, where you 10 specialists now. It could be the next competitive FPS game, which is amazing for us as TSC as well. Looking forward to what we're gonna get to do competitively.
And you can take a lot of that from the repertoire EA has built over the years, thanks to Respawn mostly, over the past while.
Apex Legends.
They had Apex, they had Titanfall 2, which unfortunately was a blunder on not even just the dev side of them saying, yeah, we think it's a good date to push, but EA also having Battlefield and Call of Duty smushed in between there is it's unfortunate, but it feels like Respawn tries to push the esports and just pushing the shooter scene as much as possible. Granted, being Vince Zampella and what was Jason West before he left, they definitely had that formula down to where they know what people are looking for. They know what kind of changes people are looking for. And that's what I hope Battlefield 2042 can do, is go back to those kind of roots that people like, what people saw in that trailer. I'm hoping that's just not all wasn't just fan service. I hope a lot of that stuff in there is even there. There was already the stuff that they're saying that I believe DICE LA, or basically Respawn Entertainment, was said to be working on, which possibly the other thing Rogue might mention is another mode. And that makes me wonder, because I was just going through the trailer, and it looks like a lot of nodbacks to BF3 and 4 maps. So you look like you saw Dobnamont Peak, Canals even, and I wonder if maybe that mode might have those maps, and it's more of like a legacy kind of thing for old school fans to enjoy.
It's interesting because this redacted game mode that we know as little about as Hazard Zone, we don't even know the name of it, but they're calling it our love letter to our core fans, a new way to play Battlefield, to discover unexpected battles and enter the wide universe of Battlefield. Now we're going to find out more about it as the EA Play on July 22nd, but what could a love letter to our core fans of Battlefield mean?
Like, I was a love letter to the core fans, but also something new. So that really doesn't help narrowing it down at all.
Or it's a way in wording it that it's like, if you don't like our creative freedom on this, like this is basically a way in safeguarding it with this special title, Love Letter to Battlefield Veterans, because it's those that will be cynical on how they bring innovation to the franchise.
It makes me think that maybe it's no specialists. It's old school, where it was just squads, everyone had maybe a class, and you spawned on each other, revived each other, gave each other ammo, and then that's about it. There's nobody with wingsuits or any crazy stuff like that.
Will I tell you what I heard on a video, and I don't know if it's correct, but I've heard that it's actually going to be, I think it's Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and yeah, the modern ones. Basically, you'll be able to play everything that you could play on those games, but in this new game.
What do you mean by that?
So basically, it's like it's a remaster that is accessible, and it's like a mosh pit kind of sandbox of choice that you could play in this mode.
Kind of mad.
I heard it on a video, I'll have to bring it up, but that's what's been said, and it seemed legit enough. I'm not one to listen to speculation, but I think there was something to back it. And I was like, that's a lot to take on, to bring to a new game, but they've had a lot of time.
Yeah, especially when you're developing a new game, you're going to want to bring new elements to it, not consider the old stuff. But
it makes sense to be a love letter. Yeah, you don't need to design the maps, so it takes less time. It's a matter of copy and pasting and then upgrading the textures, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out EA Play. So before we end this, we'll have a quick round of what's the biggest thing that we would want them to bring to Battlefield? Because for me, it's just a really advanced rental server program.
Oh yeah.
You know, one where you can turn maps off, you can tweak which vehicles are there, you can
have a server
turn
banner.
Flags off on maps. You know, you could here's the map and here's the flags, and I want to play Conquest, but I want to disable these flags. Don't remove spawning a little bit.
That'd be incredible. I mean, just the option to turn the weather off would be good enough for me. So I don't want to get killed by a fucking sandstorm. I don't want to be like blinded for half the map.
Yeeted by a tornado every 5 games.
Yeah, exactly. I just leave spawn in the sky all of a sudden. No, thank you.
I'm at least intrigued about the tornado.
I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah, the sandstorm can kind of go away. It gives me unfortunate vibes of Siege of Shanghai being completely foggy and just hard to see anything at a point.
I've seen on the trailer that they basically ragdoll your helicopter out of the way, but I wonder can a jet flight speed through it, because it kind of could.
To go what Rogue was asking, one of the things I'm definitely hoping and looking for is, I know this might sound a bit mean to DICE or just to EA in general, I want the game to work at launch. I want this stuff to be hitting on all cylinders. It'd be a perfect way for people to get an entry in and then not feel bad about either their purchase or to be told to not get it. And I hope they really can make this 120 work and not turn it into BF4 again, where it's unplayable. 64 was unplayable for the longest time, or it was really rubber bandy. And I just want it to work. That's my biggest thing. I hope his launch is good and hopefully smooth, but I know that's a lot to ask because they're trying to make a huge jump once again.
Even would say, like, not even having the rental servers for about a year on some of their Battlefield games when it should be there from the start, because communities thrive on those kind of things. You can build up that game to be more popular because you have communities doing this extra stuff, maybe having special servers for different things. Like, people come back to the game more when they can play it how they want it with those kind of servers.
And that makes it easier for the esports little things that we were doing. We were just joining other clan servers and stuff as well.
Yeah, instead of taking over a public server and telling random people, please leave, we need that spot for our last teammate. Like, that's BS. Well, if I were to add my 2 cents to what I would like to see out of the game more long term, there are definitely things that need to be there, what you've said, for straight away on launch. But long term, in terms of enjoying the game, because it could be the Battlefield game we're playing for the next couple of years, just like we did Battlefield 4. Instead, say they're going to take creative liberties after that to innovate again, is mainly they strive to have a higher skill ceiling like Battlefield 4 had, and not have it as casual as Battlefield 1 and 5, especially on the vehicle front.
Absolutely.
And that the mechanics, that the gun mechanics, reviving mechanics, stuff like that for the gameplay is actually solid and not broken, where you have medic trains and stuff like that just ruining gameplay, because they're the small decisions that stack.
I personally wouldn't mind going away from the 5 revive, just because I feel like medic lost a huge role, and anyone being able to revive anybody was kind of monotonous, because you could take a whole squad out, but then one other dude can just pick one guy up, and then they all just picking each other up out of nowhere. And it kind of made it a lot harder, but I get it as to why they might have done it. But I don't know, it makes like any sort of squad rush or group rush a lot stronger, because if you don't get that squad wipe or that extra blueberry random next to the guy, they can just bring back a whole group of people.
Yeah, even we'll say if a medic can really revive a group really fast, but they're a freaking medic, so that's what they're for. But maybe if they even extended, even though it's long enough, if they extended the squad revive time even more, so then you're not punished for a camping sniper at the edge of a map where you kill him as your teammate, and then you pick up your mate because it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of nice to be able to do it. It kind of sucks having to spawn back on stuff like that. But we'll say if you're on a metro and you just carry your whole team and squad, where you're trading kills and whoever's the last one alive gets to revive the whole squad and keep the pressure, then all the work that the other squad did, even though they killed everyone bar one, it kind of is annoying.
And that's just one more thing that we're going to have to wait for. We are, however, expected to find out a lot more information at EA Play on July 22nd, so keep your eyes out for that, and perhaps another episode of Shadow Talk to discuss the new details.
If I have one last thing to inject, I hope they have a battle pass system like Halo's doing.
I'm not familiar with it.
It's no fear of missing out. So if you miss a battle pass, you can choose whatever pass you want to level up again, even if it's past season, post-season, and then you don't have to worry about grinding anything.
Oh, that's good.
Wait for the beta. That's hopefully soon.
And on that note, that's it from all of us here. We will catch you in the next one.